The most important character of One Punch Man is here. He's here. They're here. Because what I think Murata is doing, with the approval of One, which of course we'll get to in great detail, because what we're seeing now in the manga and the comic, they have diverged, which is very, at least in this part, which is very intriguing. But what we're getting now in the manga is, I think, very important for the end game of One Punch Man. I have no idea when it's gonna be, like, 5 years, 6 years from now, I have no idea when exactly. But these two characters, I think, are very, very pivotal. Like, honest to goodness pivotal. One in particular, I'm pretty sure is gonna be Saitama's main, final bad guy. But that being said, normally I talk about, obviously, the arc of One Punch Man, where the arc on regular basis is very, very good. It's very good. If it was in color, One Punch Man would be phenomenal in terms of artwork. But in black and white, it's still extraordinarily impressive. Straight up seinen berserk levels on a regular basis. It's so good. The fights are fantastic through and through, I would say, for One Punch Man. The Garo stuff has been very intense, has been very high impact. The Catalyst versus the S-Class heroes in their totality so far has been some very good stuff through and through. Tatsumaki. Whoa. Tatsumaki and Psychos. Whoa. It has been intense. It has been phenomenal. It has been delicious. And when I say delicious, I mean slurp. Good. Tasting meat. Oh, man. Psychos is one thing, right? But Tatsumaki has been shocking in more ways than one. And they're all good. I guarantee you, if you disagree, you're wrong. You're just flat out wrong, all right? Your tastes are off. Like, you're probably a vegan. Listen, if you're... Listen! You're healthier than I am. That's for damn sure. I mean, you see these, man? Jesus. All right, listen. I'm working on that, but not being a vegan. It's not happening. That being said, Murata with the dark meat, the thigh meat of Tatsumaki is out of this world. I'm going on a tangent, man, but it's crazy because it's like my best girl right now in One Punch Man is Captain Mizuki, but Tatsumaki, because of Murata, he just keeps on just hitting it home with her every time, and it hits so well. But that being said, latest chapter of One Punch Man that I've read, 139, introduces Blast, the fabled, the mythical, the #1 hero in the entirety of One Punch Man. Officially, of course. Shout to Saitama.
Okay.
Blast comes in a crazy way. Like, he makes some, like, Event Horizon. Comes out of nowhere, talking to Saitama, Flashy Flash, and then the Eye Monster. Blast comes in there right in the last second when we see an entity in chapter 138. And it looks like Saitama, Flashy Flash, and the Eye Monster, they're like looking to like a void of space. And in fetal position is just the entity. Dude, that was trippy. 138 was trippy. 139 was just stunning, shocking on so many fronts. I did a full reaction to it, link in the box below to my read-through channel where I read the entire thing live. Oh! Yeah! Wait! It is... Wow. That's some good content. I ain't gonna front. 138 and 139 are some really good content for One Punch Man, without question. And Blast is in. And Blast is he looks like a really cool dude. Like, he looks like an epic dad. Yeah, like a really cool dad. I like his design. I like how Flash comes in there, think he's, hot shit. I'm gonna test his powers. Nah, settle down, kid. Whoa, settle down there, Slugger. Flashy Flash looking like Ichigo in every other chapter where someone's blitzing behind him. It's like he looks like a Bleach character. He got Bleach charactered, which was great. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. That being said, when Blast talks about the cube, the Tesseract, of course we don't get the full details of it. Aside from the fact that it weighs a lot, and apparently these cubes, they exist all over the planet. these cubes, these tesseracts, are used to communicate with quote-unquote him. And it's safe to say where Flashy Flash was, where his sword, insta-kill, now of course broken, shouts Tatsumaki of course, his sword was stuck under the tesseract, the cube, the mother box, whatever you want to call it. And it weighs a lot. Saitama, easy clap, but Blast too. Blast could carry the box like Saitama as if it weighed not that much at all, which is kind of crazy. I mean, in his case, he had it spinning around like a basketball. Epic dad right there. Granted, he's not a dad, again, as far as we know, but he fits that role so well. And he's talking about how this is an object that allows someone to have contact with him, this particular entity. And this entity appears to be, I think, God, or what is the closest thing to God in One Punch Man. And if that's the case, then this ties directly to various characters in the series since the very beginning of the series, arguably speaking, because there's a notion out there that Vaccine Man may have been one of God's agents. Because if these cubes are all over the place, like we see in the Tatsumaki flashback, where there's one of these cubes in this facility where Tatsumaki was at, these cubes are transmitters that connect one to God. And this one is underneath the monster base, or at least somewhere in that area. Maybe Psychos was able to actually get in contact with God, or the entity, whatever you want to call it, what we saw at the end of 138, because the cube was nearby, or she had access to the cube, something of that sort. So maybe you don't actually have to, let's say, touch the cube, but just simply by being near the cube, you can gain a greater connection with this entity, with God, potentially. And so in the case of Vaccine Man, at the beginning of the series, he said that he was destroying the area to cure the planet of the ailment of humanity.
Power to the earth!
And he wanted to cure the planet for Mother Earth, that kind of stuff. And then Saitama just one punch. What's also very intriguing is how there's someone else that has a very similar power to Vaccine Man now in the series called Homeless Emperor. The orbs of light that Homeless Emperor use are very similar to the orbs of light that we see Vaccine Man use at the very beginning of the series. And Homeless Emperor had contact with the big God. Now, again, this is why I say when it comes to actual proximity, in order to get in contact with the big God, maybe you don't actually have to touch it, because in Homeless Emperor's case, what we see is a crazy etched out figure of the big God. Whereas when Tatsumaki makes a giant spear and then insta-kill is destroyed, what we see is a way more than some kind of shaded out image of God. No, what we're getting is a full on, like almost as if like Saitama or Flash Flash, they could reach out and touch it. It just looked so real and it looked so cosmic. Honestly, on some Cthulhu, maybe Murata /1, they're going for the Lovecraft stuff. That's possible, because in the cover of chapter 939, you see the split between space and the ocean, and how where Saitama jumped off the moon kind of looks like an eye now, and then we see in that split of the same picture an underwater creature of some kind watching. We have tentacles and that kind of stuff. And then the cube, the space one, and then also the one under the deep sea. There is, I think, some notion out there where we know less about the deep sea than we do about space itself. Don't quote me on that one, but I believe I remember hearing it before at one point in time. Yeah, like we know less about the deep sea than we do about space. So if there are cubes all around the world that connect someone with God, whether you can have, let's say, a more direct contact with God if you touch the cube itself, or if you can get like little images or blurred images of God if you're in proximity of the cube, or you can, let's say, resonate with the cube or cubes. The possibility here could be there are not only cubes on the planet itself, but also in space. So there could be cubes floating in orbit around the planet, something that's similar to what we saw on the cover page of 139, where we see the astronaut just in space grabbing the cube. And then maybe there could also be a cube or something even bigger on the moon, because there is this whole thing about the dark side of the moon. And if the moon is, in this case, the eye of this cosmic force, then there could be something on the dark side of the moon that could be a key transmitter or a core transmitter for all the cubes that are around the planet and or on the planet. So of course there are a lot of possibilities, but it makes it all the more fascinating. It really does. Like it's a crazy notion, honestly, but there could, Murata, well, one in this case, they could be going for a genuine Cthulhu Lovecraftian thing in One Punch Man. Because honestly, given what we saw at the end of chapter 138, and if that's the big GOD, then I don't think GOD is of this world in of itself. In fact, when Psychos has contact with the big GOD, dog, it's like a crazy nerve planet of some kind. And then she's talking about becoming like Mother Earth. Like she wants to be Mother Earth. And then with Psychos being Mother Earth, she would then do some crazy extraterrestrial stuff, which I'm pretty sure would involve the big GOD. That's my guess. Though to be fair, aliens did arrive in their world with, Lord Bort's company. So in this case, instead of, let's say, being extraterrestrial or cosmic, it could be extra dimensional, where beings from other dimension or a being from another dimension or a higher dimension is interfering or enacting its will upon the planet in some way, shape, or form, which in some sense would still tie in with some Lovecraftian stuff, because that's what you kind of see in Bloodborne, where in Bloodborne there is a lot of extra dimensional other world, inner world stuff going on. So it could be something where this is another version of planet Earth, and this being from this other version of planet Earth that is a godlike being is, for some reason, at this point in time, I obviously don't know, but for some reason it is enacting its will upon the people and maybe the world itself. What we're getting here is the building of the end game of the series, and Murata / One are doing it in sprinkles now. Because one, apparently what we're getting in these last two chapters are not in the one web comic. Sometimes, certain authors, when it comes to the original work, whether it's a web comic, whether it's a manga or anime, whatever it is, sometimes they don't like how things played out to an extent. So they try and change things in like other mediums. So I do know, like, a big example was the author of Tokyo Ghoul, where the author of Tokyo Ghoul didn't like some things in the manga apparently, so they changed for the anime, as far as I understand. A recent example may be the whole thing going on with right now Promised Neverland, with the anime and manga differences. That could be the author's choice, where she said, I want to change things from how the manga was. Maybe. Again, I have no idea. I love the fact that One has made this change from the webcomic to the manga. I love it. Because again, I have not read the webcomic itself, but it's clearly not for many folks. Even though Blast is there, I think, as far as I understand, Blast is there, I think in the Tatsumaki flashback, in the one webcomic. But the webcomic, artwork-wise, is jarring. It's very jarring. And not that many folks be into it. And a lot of folks, like myself, the arc is so on the regular, where I'm like, I don't see why I want to read this. Like, maybe if I really, really wanted to, but I don't. Because the better product is the manga, visually speaking, aesthetically speaking. And because it's also official, like we see on Viz Media, and not the webcomic itself, you see the actual manga, duh, and the volumes are the manga, duh, then I have to say it was probably a good move for him to change the story up, which he thought was a better way of doing things. So compared to the webcomic, I'm willing to bet that what they're doing in the manga right now is better than the webcomic version. That's just my guess. But I'll put money on that. I'll put money on that one. Absolutely I will. The fact that One is making the call and Murata made the changes, and we know that Murata, he will double back. He's done so before, numerous times, where he's doubled back and actually change previous chapters wholesale because of matching the webcomic more, probably, so him and One talked that over. That means to me that they are really concerned about the inner details of the series as a whole, making sure that everything is on point so it's as good as possible. And this was, in their minds, the best possible thing to do. And it's dope. This whole blasting is dope. And again, for Endgame One Punch Man, which honestly could be a sign that maybe One may be thinking about that, where at some point in the next few years we hear news that One Punch Man webcomic is coming to an end, or One is considering ending the webcomic and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think this was Honestly, a crazy thing to do. But again, considering how God has potentially ties to Psychos, to Vaccine Man, to Homeless Emperor, and Homeless Emperor right now is inbound. He's inbound, and then Blast says a few words, grabs a cube and dips. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more and more sprinkles, where now we may see more and more of these boxes in the manga throughout the world compared to, let's say, the webcomic. And so Murata and One, when it comes to the manga, will take little more divergent roads compared to the webcomic. So overall, I love what I'm seeing here. I love what I'm seeing here from One Punch Man, and I'm looking forward, honestly I am, to the next read-through. Link in the box below to the read-through channel. I'm gonna see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care. Have a nice one.